So I'd like to call the July meeting of our Conservation Commission to order. And just so you all remember, last month we voted to allow electronic votes by our agent. So everything will be by electronic votes, and Laurel will take care of the signatures. And then all votes will be by roll call. So we'll have to do everything by roll call to go through that. So those are just things we need to keep track of. So our first item is a notice of intent on 650 Pleasant Street. And the project is rehabbing a existing 2-story building at Pleasant Street. For those who not where it is, it's next to the Stop and Shop in Waltham and actually in Watertown Waltham line. So that's where the project is. Just one thing before we start any discussion is that I just wanted to say that I'm disappointed with regard to this project. One, and it took so long. It should have come in front of us before construction started. So that's to me something we shouldn't have had done, and it's partly on the applicant who should have been doing it, and secondly on our town administration who should have pushed for them to come to us. So those are just a little aside. I wanted to bring that out. So I guess Rich, you going to start first?
If that's okay, sure. I can. What I'll do is I'll share my screen.
Yep.
And I will give you a little introduction very quick to who Aranta is.
Okay.
And then I'll turn it over to Hugh to go over the fun stuff, the details.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see if we
Somebody
can...
introduce who Richard is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am Richard Quinby. My official title is Vice President of Engineering and Facilities for Aranta Bio. And basically it's my responsibility for the construction of the space. So again, happy to be in front of you. Obviously very excited for our building and to be part of the community. Host has disabled participant screen sharing.
All right, you were supposed to be able to share your screen, Rich. I don't know if, so the host is Watertown Cable Access, which is the participant of the town of Watertown, I believe.
Laurel, I just saw that I just saw a little pop-up that said Richard Quimbley is now co-host, so I think they took care of it. So try.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
We have somebody online there watching us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, whoever you are.
Big brother.
Okay. Can everybody see this?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So Aranta Bio and who we are, and I will give a little, again, very brief presentation. Our vision: we are a what we call a CDMO, which is a contract development and manufacturing organization, enabling the microbiome product innovators to change healthcare. So what does that mean? CDMO is contract development and manufacturing organization. So we don't actually have any of our own medicines. What we do is we help other people bring medicines to market. So we have some technology, we have some scientific know-how. So they come to us and we help them develop and bring their life-changing technologies to the market. And we specify in the microbiome. So basically your gut, the bacteria in your gut. There's a lot of research being done on that, not just for like your Crohn's disease or your irritable bowel syndrome, but also how the gut health can influence, say, dementia and things like that. So we feel it's an exciting area to be in, and we're really hoping it can change healthcare in the next few years. So we're happy to be a part of it. We have a sister facility in Gainesville, Florida, that's been around for a few years, and they are kind of our scientific base. They help with the development of the drugs, the early growing of the bacteria, the identifying of things like that. And then we move it up to going to move it up to our brand new Watertown facility, where we'll kind of take it from the development stage and make enough to be able to get into patients. This is a nice little rendering of the one-story building. We're going to take that and kind of dress it up a little bit. We put some windows up above here to let some natural light into the building. So kind of dress it up a little bit. And he will go over some of the changes we're going to make on the outside of the building. But we purchased and we're going to renovate the 650 Pleasant Street. It was a high bay warehouse owned by a number of people. We're turning that into lab space and light manufacturing. As again, the new 5,000 square feet officer visitor space, which is right here. And we're going to dress up the front of the building as well, put some nice landscaping in there, kind of make it a nice outdoor amenities area for our employees. We do actually have current offices at 480 Pleasant Street that we're leasing out right now while it's being built and into the future. So it's actually a great walk between there and 650. You have to go right by Russo's, so that's not the worst thing in the world. And then again, a little less than $100 million investment into the Watertown facility, and our goal is, if not by the end of the year, then close after that, 100 plus employees. So again, just a quick introduction. And if no major questions, I'll turn it over to Hugh, and I will bring up hopefully drawings that look familiar to you. So we can start here, and then obviously please ask questions. Feel free to interrupt or whatever. But this is the overall facility. Here's just to orient yourself. Here's 650 Pleasant Street. Here is the Stop and Shop parking lot, the river, and obviously the area of concern back here. And so, Hugh, I will turn it over to you. Hugh?
Sorry about that. I was sitting here quietly, but muted. Thank you, Richard. My name is Hugh Hahn. I'm a professional engineer. I work with VHB in Watertown. I'm a senior project manager, and I was involved with the design and local permitting, the entitlement for this project for the general contractor, DC Bean and Associates, as well as the owner and now the occupant, Watertown Ma. By way of a little orientation, the 200-foot riverfront area extends up from the bank of the Charles River and diagonally cuts across the back, the top course of the back parking lot. You can follow Richard's hand there, helping me out. It barely touches the top left corner of the building there. So work within jurisdiction would be within that riverfront area back toward the river. As we started the project, before we did the existing conditions survey for Watertown Ma, our wetland scientists went out and walked the riverbank and all of the site back up through the riverfront area to delineate the wetland resource areas. We have identified the bank, surveyed that, and that is what has reinforced the 200-foot riverfront line. The work that we are proposing under this plan within riverfront jurisdiction is the removal of some gravel or broken pavement down here at the bottom right corner of the parking lot. I don't know when it was added. It was identified earlier with some of our earlier meetings with the town that there wasn't necessarily a site plan approval that went with it, and that it perhaps should be removed just because it was, let's call it, rogue. Watertown Ma agreed to remove that and replace that with sod. Then over on the upper portion of that rear parking lot, there was another area of pavement that didn't serve any utility for parking of vehicles at the site. And Arantha Bio also agreed with the town's recommendation as we were going through the developer review and special permit process. They agreed to remove that pavement and convert it to, or plant it with loam and seed to match the surrounding vegetation. There is, you'll see a footpath from the parking lot down and connecting to the footpath from the Stop and Shop parking lot that connects out to the Charles River Greenway. That footpath is a remnant of earlier design where it was thought that the employee amenity area would be off the the left-hand side of this parking lot in the rear. Arantha Bio had also, under their special permit, been proposing to expand the building out on Pleasant Street. When that building expansion proved, I guess, less desirable or infeasible for certain reasons, Arantha Bio decided to work within the existing building footprint and not expand the building out there. But rather than leave that existing drive aisle in the front, they decided to put their employee amenity area out there and then also increase some landscaped area. That was something that Richard alluded to in his presentation. So with the employee amenity area at the front of the building, there was less of a sort of an impetus to get the employees in and out of the back of the building down to the river, the Greenway. So that boardwalk, or that, not boardwalk, but that connection from our rear parking lot up the page and tying into the Stop and Shop section of the path is going to be eliminated. It is not going to be built. However, Arantha Bio has agreed and has been in contact or trying to contact property owner and operators at Stop and Shop to coordinate on an improvement to the existing sidewalk along the west side of the Arantha Bio, or the common property line between Arantha Bio and Stop and Shop. That would enhance pedestrian access from Pleasant Street down to the Greenway. And that is an sort of a exchange for not improving or not making a pedestrian path off the back parking lot. I think that will lead to less disruption within the riverfront area.
Did someone have a question?
Well, there was a wooden stairway down there right now.
Yeah.
A
The
wooden,
construction stairway in there right now.
Sorry, Leo, I raised my hand until
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
left. That was my question. There is, it looks like not to code because I walked it, the gate was open. I walked it just today. There is a stairway right there now. So I
Right
was
here.
curious. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So is that going to be ripped up?
Oh, yes, that is just for, we have our construction parking. So the construction workers park in the Stop and Shop parking lot. We have an arrangement with them. And so that is merely just for construction worker access. So that will be dismantled.
Okay. Thank you for
Sure.
clarifying.
Laurel, did you have a question? Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
okay, thank you. We had also in Arantha Bio in earlier conversations with the town surrounding the developer conference and the special permit, which in fact the special permit that they are not going to pursue anymore because it was related only to the building expansion in the front. But there were certain conditions that came out of that developer conference and that special permit that led to some other, to this committed work in the back, this removing the pavement and converting it to landscape. So another aspect of that was to make a stormwater quality improvement. Richard, if you can go to the utility plan or the grading and drainage plan, I think it's the next one in your deck.
This one?
There's a little delay on my screen. Yes, that one. There's a catch basin that has 4 little black tabs on it at the very bottom left corner of the site.
This one.
That's an existing catch basin that was installed several years ago by a previous developer, and that is a catch basin sort of at the low point of the parking area. It connects to an oil and gas or oil and grit separator in a manhole just up page from that, and then that discharges to a small surge pool, I'll call it, at the end of that culvert, and then from there that water from that outlet runs across the surface eventually to the Charles River. There's also another catch basin over to the right, and that's that other catch basin with the 4 black colored tabs off of it. Those are a symbol that we use for a construction period silt sack that's installed in existing catch basins during construction, so that any mud or whatever that's tracked on the pavement gets caught in that silt sack before it gets into the catch basin. We replaced that catch basin with a Storm Scepter 450i, STC 450i, which is the catch basin size particle separator. And that was at the request of the town. So basically the work that is disturbance to the land is removing the driveway at the front of the building and replacing that with plaza and landscape, adding a few landscaped areas along the side of the building where we've removed pavement and added trees. Then work within the riverfront area are the 2 areas of pavement removal and converting those over to grass areas. There was a question earlier about perhaps doing something a little bit more than just loam and seed, like perhaps doing a rain garden in those areas. The topography of that area is such that if we made that a rain garden, no portion of the pavement drains to it, so it wouldn't receive any water that it could beneficially treat. So we're continuing to offer to replace that pavement with loam and seed. And with that, I would turn it back over to Richard, and that concludes my presentation for Richard.
Yeah. Any questions, comments, discussion?
All right, well, let's do that. Does anybody on our board have any questions?
Yeah.
Jamie, I don't see everybody's at the same time. So Jamie's got her hand up. Jamie?
Hey, yeah, so yeah, I'll just run through my list of questions. So my first one was on the notice of intent form 3, in section C7, nothing was checked for whether the project meets the stormwater standards. So just from an administrative point of view, I think that probably needs to get addressed. But I think that leads into a bigger question of trying to understand whether this is a redevelopment project or not. So I'm wondering if you can be a little bit more specific about what's happening in the existing impervious area in the back, like what's the extent of what you'll be doing back there? So we'll start with that. That's my first question.
So the
Go ahead.
proposal, okay, your screen's catching up. The proposal is to the area at the upper right corner of the parking lot in the back that has that triangle hatch in it.
Mm-hmm.
That is, we're removing the pavement and replacing it with loam and grass seed. And there's another area, sort of kitty corner across that parking lot there, where we're proposing the same thing, is to take up some kind of broken up asphalt pavement and bring in some loam and then grass seed that.
Yeah, I can see that, but I mean, I can see that, for example, the parking lines don't match up. So you're not just leaving the lot untouched. Can you talk about what the extent of the work in that area is like?
Okay.
Because I think that's the first, because that form isn't filled out, it needs to get filled out, and we have to make sure that the proper box is checked. So I think we need to make sure that it's like, does this count as a redevelopment project? Because if it
Okay.
does, we have to make sure the stormwater standards are met and so on and so forth. So
Okay.
yeah, if you could walk us through kind of like the extent of the work in the lot.
Okay. So those things that I've mentioned, and then the rest of the work on the pavement is pavement striping, which pavement striping would be considered maintenance, essentially maintenance. So the diagonal hatching is what I'll call gore striping. It is a stripe on the pavement that indicates that it's a place not to be parked. In the bottom right, there is an emergency vehicle turnaround area that is there to allow a fire truck that has come down to the back of the lot to be able to make a hammerhead turn and turn around and get back out of the site. We're at the bottom left corner of the building, there's an odd shape that has the letters LA in the middle of it that Richard's circling right now. That is existing pavement that we're removing, and we're planting that with trees and shrubs, and then topping it off with mulch. The vehicle parking is a parking system that is allowed by zoning, and that is stacked parking. So there are basically 2 rows of double stacked parking spaces with a drive aisle in the middle.
Is it tiered or?
Yeah, it's tiered. Yes.
Okay. Is it currently tiered, or you'll be building a structure?
Oh, no, no, no. It's
No, it's not
elevated.
tiered.
It's not elevated, no.
It's like this, like sorry.
Oh,
It's
I
like
see.
it's like valet parking. The one,
Yeah.
the first person to
Got it.
come to work pulls up to the building.
Yeah.
And the next person. Okay.
And then it's
Sorry.
like a lift, right? I seen them on Route 9. It's like a
No,
lift.
there's no
No.
vertical lift.
No?
You just,
So
you-
because the use has sort of shift workers, it
Yeah.
was determined that stacked parking would work for them because everyone is coming and leaving at the same, enough people are coming and leaving at the exact same time.
yes.
But so, for example, like that's why I think that's why on this particular drawing, the striping seems a little bit confusing because they're restriping from what is there today to a stacked parking, allowing 2 cars to
Do
go
tandem.
one in front of the other.
So tandem
To
parking.
Jamie's point of asking why the striping didn't match up.
Right.
So, like,
Tandem
are you
parking.
doing like, are you repaving it? Like, are you doing full
No,
excavation? Like,
It is
what-
asphalt. It's asphalt pavement now, and we're going to leave it as that and stripe it for the new parking configuration.
okay. And then when did the back convert from forested to paved? 'Cause I'm looking at the aerials, and then the ones from the 90s, it's forested, and then around like 2001, it's cleared. So Laurel, do you know if we have a permit on file for that? Like,
We should. I can look into that.
yeah, just make sure that the clearing back there is like done on the level, so to speak.
There was, Laurel, as you're looking through that record, the one record of an order of conditions we found was the one I mentioned around that catch basin at the bottom left corner of the parking and the oil and grit separator. That was an order of conditions that recognized that area was paved and was a drainage
Okay.
improvement.
That's good to know.
And then the middle line in between the 100-foot buffer zone and the 200-foot riverfront area, is that the 150 buffer zone line for the Watertown ordinance?
That 150-foot line probably is right where Richard's hand is now. The 100-foot buffer zone is just off the limits of the pavement. So the 150 runs right through the, sort of diagonally through the middle of the rear parking area.
Okay, I think that I didn't see it labeled on any of the plans. So assuming that is the line, I think we just want to add that label so that we have that documented.
Certainly.
And yeah. And then my other question was, since you're adding the water quality unit on the side of the building, did you consider replacing that catch basin in the corner with something similar?
We considered it, but because it goes to an existing oil grit separator, it is providing some stormwater quality. It was permitted, and we felt that disrupting that area with construction that close to the riverfront area would be more disruptive for the limited benefit that we get from replacing that oil and grit separator.
Okay, so what were the perimeter, like, the erosion controls that you proposed? Are you planning to use the straw wattle, or I just don't remember what's in the detail sheet.
The DC Bean Associates, as the general contractor, did submit a stormwater pollution prevention plan, logistics plan, and it shows a silt fence and straw wattle around the perimeter. So the darker purple is a silt fence, or I'm sorry, that's a perimeter fence, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
And would be a construction security. The lighter periwinkle that is along the Stop and Shop side and then around the three sides of the rear parking, that is a straw wattle. And then we
Okay,
have, I interrupted you, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no. Well, so I think I would prefer the compost filter sock over the straw wattle. Being that close to the riverfront area and the resource areas, I would prefer what I think in my experience seems to be the more superior erosion control product. So that
Jamie, they've started construction over a year ago.
Yeah.
Then, but if they're still under construction, there's no
Yep.
reason. I mean, we have to issue a permit for it, right?
We still haven't, no, we never issued a permit for it, but they started.
Well, isn't that what we're doing today, or?
Yeah, we're issuing a permit for a job that
Okay, so
started
if
a
we're
year
issuing
ago.
a permit, then it should be how we think it should be, right?
Right, correct.
So that's what I would recommend. So, okay. In the NOI form that was submitted, it said that there would be material storage as one of the. It was a very brief project description, just like a sentence, and it included material storage. So I was wondering if you could talk about what materials were going to be stored and where and how.
I would like to turn that question over to Joe Gayko from DC Bean Associates, or to Rich Quinby.
No, Joe, I think Joe, yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Good evening. It's Joe Geico with DCB and Associates. So back in the parking area, we have a couple ground containers and a couple field office trailers storing dry products and storage, general construction storage to support the construction of the building.
So what kinds of materials are being stored?
Piping, light fixtures, and that type of material. Lumber.
Any like fuel or chemicals, pesticides?
We have a small oxygen and acetylene tank storage area to remove the gases from the building when in the off hours. That's at the back of the building. It's located in red here, I believe. But other than that, there is no fuel storage, no equipment parking, other than the need to be there to move the material from where it is to the building, or to turn around or to park a crane there to access the roof for a pick, but nothing overnight, no long-term storage of any vehicle or fuel storage.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that summarizes my questions for the time being. I think the one thing that I'm still sitting on is trying to figure out, so it seems like it's definitely not a redevelopment, so we don't necessarily need to worry about all of the stormwater standards being met. I think we may still need to figure out the Rivers Protection Act part of it. Like the conversion to pervious for a portion of it definitely improves existing conditions, which is good. To work in a redevelopment area, it should also meet the stormwater standards under the Rivers Protection Act, but I'm wondering if the project, because the area that's staying degraded doesn't have to meet the stormwater standards, maybe that's okay that the rest of it doesn't meet the stormwater standards. So I think that's like the only thing that I'm trying to like figure out the proper interpretation of the regulations. I'll be interested to hear what everybody else on the commission thinks. And then I'd also be interested to know like what the permit is for that back area, just to make sure that when it was cleared, it was okay to be cleared, and we don't have to like go back and do any restoration or anything of that area.
Yeah, I'll look into that for you, Jamie.
Okay, thanks.
You
That's all.
should have looked at it, Laurel.
Sorry,
All
what?
right. You all set, Jamie?
Yes.
Okay, who's next?
I can go.
Okay, Maria, go right.
So I agree with a lot of what Jamie said, except that I do consider this redevelopment, but I did actually ask Laurel, you know, if this went through internal development review through the planning board. And to me, it could be on the fence, but the fact that there's clearing, there's grading on the side of the building, and there's deep pavement, which is great, and massive renovation to the point where there's no plumbing inside. There's porta potties all along the fence line for the workers. To me, that seems like redevelopment. So I think we need the stormwater checklist. Most notice of intents include a project narrative and give you like, where's the wetland flagging? I don't see that, and there's definitely wetlands there, and there's a buffer zone associated with that. I don't see like where the bank has been identified on the plans by VHB, like clearly noted, like here's the flag that we put in there. Here's where we're identifying bank or top of bank, because that's kind of really important in our ordinance, where the bank is top of bank, and then you go out 200 feet from there. And it is a shame that we didn't get to see it before it came, you know, before it went under construction. So there is going to have to be some leeway here from us, which we understand. And also I want to say actually to Richard, I'm thrilled. This looks like a great reuse of this building, and you know, we don't want to be a bottleneck to you at all, which we're not, because you're under construction. But we have to uphold this project to the same standard that we uphold all projects that are this close to the river. And if there's trees that have been taken down that are within a wetland buffer zone, or within, more importantly, if it's within the wetland buffer, but also if it's in the 200-foot riverfront, and some trees might have been questionable there along that line. I would say all the trees you needed along the line that abuts the Stop and Shop are not high value, because they were abutting sidewalk and a parking lot. But the ones closest to the river do have value to the wildlife and to the river. So I see that missing. That's an important piece missing from the plans that we received.
Okay. If I can, I mean, no, I completely understand. And what we're trying to do is, Hugh had alluded to it on this pathway that's there now. So what we're hoping to do with Stop and Shop is turn that from, I think it's don't quote me on this, but a 4-foot sidewalk, and I believe the new requirements for a bike path are 8 feet. So we're looking to turn that into an 8 feet connection from the river to the sidewalk. But we're also looking to, we have some landscaping, as was mentioned, for an employee's amenity. So what we're looking to do is to wrap that around the building. And so to replace some of those trees along this, so to make it kind of an inviting pathway from 650 to the road. So we are looking to enhance that.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like
Um,
to see that drawing.
What's that?
I'd like to see that drawing.
Yeah, we need to work out the details with Stop and Shop.
And I was there today, and to be honest, it's pretty god awful right now. If you were the Stop and Shop, I'd be pretty disappointed looking at that wall slope.
Not done yet.
That's just me.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no,
agree.
I understand. I understand.
I'm glad to hear that that connector path directly to the river is not going to happen. Not that I wouldn't want the workers there to go to the river. I do, but definitely more trees would have needed to come down. And if there is this an inviting sidewalk that you're describing along the long side of the building that abuts the parking lot. If you could just keep in mind that there's a tremendous amount of litter that accumulates at the corner, I don't know what corner it would be. Yes, right there. Well, yeah, you would know. If you've been there, you know. And it's not from you guys, it's from Stop and Shop, and it's from pedestrians. And I pick up litter constantly there. And it's just something to, something to think about, that if we invite more traffic there, if there's things that you and Stop and Shop can do to help in that regard, like more trash receptacles or something that might help to keep keep it looking inviting.
No, and I think that's actually an excellent idea. One of the things that we are kind of interested in doing is obviously community outreach, but in this COVID era that we're living in, not a lot of opportunities for that right now. But we are looking to maybe go out and clean up and do some beautification. And so that's something we can probably put on a regular plan where once a week we just send, I don't want to call it a cleaning crew, but one of our employees volunteer. We can go out there and kind of just on a weekly basis, just kind of make sure that is, as you say, inviting. I like that solution. That's an excellent idea.
Good. And then to Jamie's point about the back parking lot and her consternation over that, Jamie, I will say that, I agree with you about, compost sock is much better, but having just walked it, I don't think it would make a difference. They're really having no disruption of any soil there. And it's all abutted. There's a ton of, along that back side that's light blue from that, that whole side there is just full of trailers. They're construction trailers, the typical trailers that you would have for holding and it's all solid containers, no open dumpsters. So I don't know if it would really make a difference to put any compost sock there along that side. I think that the corner catch basin, hopefully that also has a silt sack, the one where the just below the purple dot is on the plan.
Yes.
That has a silt sack.
Yes.
And then I think it's my final thing. I know you said you considered a rain garden, and now that your employee amenity is not in the back, it's in the front, it may not make sense anyway, but the area that you removed, you're removing some pavement or gravel. I think it might be that blue square. There might be a delay because you're pointing down where it says remove gravel, loam.
The lower one or the upper one?
The lower one where the little hand is right now. Mm-hmm. Couldn't that have been utilized for some benefit to stormwater there, or is it just that
it slopes onto the pavement? So there isn't any pavement that drains to it. That catch basin right there is at the low point, the localized low point. So if we put something in that tries to filter runoff, it's just filtering rainfall. So the loam and seed will do as good a job at that. So nothing that runs off the pavement can get to it. So that's why it wasn't moving the amenity area that made it less feasible to do a rain garden here. It was just the fact of the direction of the drainage.
Okay. All right. I guess that makes sense. And I mean,
Is there any thought of just like, adding something that might be, however marginal, like some sort of habitat, even if it's not like stormwater related, whether it's a tree or some sort of like pollinator plantings or whatnot?
I mean, we could. I mean, that's actually, I like that idea. I mean, that's something that I'd like to kind of maybe take into consideration. Again, I think that would be a great employee activity. Maybe if we can just leave it as loam and seed now, and then maybe have our employees when we move into the building. That could be a great activity for around that can buy a few plants. We can go in on a Saturday or something like that, and have a little employee activity, get to know each other, because we are such a new company. I like that idea. I think that's something that we can kind of use as a team building exercise to so if we could kind of maybe leave it as on the plans as loam and seed, but then maybe get some ideas from our team on how we can, maybe put some plantings out there or something.
So Hugh, what I was thinking, but I mean, I don't want to make it a big production because you're already underway, but what I was thinking is you have like a scupper that goes into that small area, and then it just sort of filters, some of the pollution, and it connects right back into that catch basin. So it would be like, a way for some of that water in that same area kind of just would make like a U in that flat area, if possible, and then connect to the catch basin for overflow.
We can certainly look into it.
Sure.
At, at a little larger scale and see what the grades will allow.
Yeah, and if they don't, I mean, that's fine. It's just something you're so close. I mean, the positive thing is that outfall, and I'm surprised that the town didn't ask you to do more, because that's their outfall number 3 that you're draining to. And I work for another municipality, and all of our municipalities in the Charles River have to reduce phosphorus by extraordinary numbers. So I'm surprised they didn't ask you to do more, because the storm scepter doesn't get any credit for phosphorus removal. So, but removing pavement is big. I mean, it's small amounts, but kudos to you for taking some pavement out. And anywhere else you can think strategically on the stormwater runoff would be welcomed. We understand you're already underway. And I think that's it, just the stormwater checklist and like how you're meeting the stormwater standards. Because I think it's maybe on the cusp, but I think it's redevelopment with the grading and everything that's been done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Colleen, are you there?
I am. I do not have any questions. My only addition was going to be the adding pollinator friendly list, since we have that going, but no, I have nothing else. It
Okay.
makes sense.
Thank you. Charlie? Charlie? Is Charlie there?
Is he muted?
No, I'm here. I just was muted.
Okay.
I don't have any questions. I just want to note that you term conservation restriction area. And when I first saw that those terms usually refer to something in the deed. But is that just the area which is buffer zone?
There is a conservation restriction area, and I believe it is a rather linear dashed line that we pulled from the deed, and it is just a few feet into the rear parking lot.
Go ahead, see it. Never
Hugh,
saw it.
I was presuming that was because of the DCR path. Is that the holder of the conservation restriction is the state of the Commonwealth?
Yes.
So is that what it's probably for the pathway and whatever width they needed to maintain the pathway, I would presume.
Well, it's more than the width of the conservation restriction area is more than just the width of the path. The boardwalk across the property is the sort of zigzagging wide polygon across the back. DCR a couple of years ago issued a report on the state of their conservation restriction in this area, and gave it relatively good marks. There were a few things they wanted to see cleaned up. One was the outfall from the detention, or not the detention, the outfall from the oil and gas separator, which Arantha Bio and its developers conference has agreed to clean up, just with regular, like picking up the trash and stuff, kind of stuff along the back of their parking lot. So DCR is well aware of the limits of their conservation restriction, as well as the limits of the pavement.
So they have no problem with the pavement in the conservation restriction line.
They made no mention of it in their last report.
Okay.
And I don't know which came first, to be honest with you.
Have they seen these plans?
I would have to check our record,
Okay.
because we weren't going into their conservation restriction, and intended to come to you. I don't know that they were. I'd have to confirm whether or not they were provided any plans.
I'd like to know that. Shelley, anything else?
No, that was my only question.
Thank you. Good one. Patrick? Patrick, do?
He's muted.
Patrick, unmute.
Got it.
Good, there we go.
All right. Still getting used to Zooming. Yeah, I'd like to support Maria's point that the river side of this development is not well demarcated for our regulatory purposes for wetland protection. For instance, while I've not recently visited this particular part of the river, I noticed from aerial photographs that this boardwalk is spanning the entire southern leg of the property of the development area, and almost invariably suggests the existence of jurisdictional wetland under it and on both sides of it, in fact. And my memories of the boardwalking parts of this greenway supports that impression. So I'd like to make sure that you have properly delineated bordering vegetated wetland as a resource area here. The absence of any indication that this has been done makes me feel quite queasy.
Patrick, I used your first name because I can't your last name's not on the screen there, so no intended familiarity. VHB wetland scientists did delineate the wetlands on this site, and those flags were picked up by our survey. You're on the few plans that were submitted with this notice of intent. They are not clearly shown, so your point is well taken. All I can do for this evening is assure you that it was walked, and we will provide a better copy of the existing conditions survey that clearly shows those flags and some record of our delineation field walk notes that support that.
Good.
Thank you.
I look forward to that. Thank you.
Patrick, any more?
Nothing more.
Okay, so I do have a few.
Leo, can I just chime in that like what's missing also in the notice of intent is usually you have a square footage impact of your bordering vegetated wetlands. You have your square footage noted of what's the disturbance to the riverfront area. All that is missing. I'm surprised that VHB wouldn't know that it's not a complete notice of intent packet. Those are like the basic things that we need in a notice of intent to evaluate like these amenities that you're providing. Are they the right trade-off? You know, that's sort of what that's our role, is to decide like, okay, there's this very minor impact here, but it's for the benefit, for these other benefits, and also for a positive redevelopment. So, but that's what we're missing in this, as well as that stormwater checklist, which I'll let Laurel sort of figure out, but I think that we needed that, that checklist.
Maria, and if I may say, VHB did not prepare this notice of intent. We were the design engineers, but we've been asked by Arantha Bio to represent sort of the technical details of the design and the site plan tonight. So your comments are duly noted, but I do want for the record to state that VHB did not prepare the notice of intent.
Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you, Dan.
I'll make sure that everything on the notice of intent is correct and filled out. If there's anything missing, I forget what else I was going to say. So.
All right, let me go on my comments and then you can remember. So
Okay.
I have some of the very similar comments to Jamie and to Maria. The application had a lot of missing information. I think we need a stormwater report. The description of the project was like, I don't even know it was this project. I don't know where the connecting bridge is. To me, this is a rebuild of the structure and some site grading work, and I don't know, but it didn't seem to match the job we were doing. I was kind of confused. There is a buffer zone adjacent to the area. The discharge from the storm drains that you tie into exit right after the edge of your property. I thought there'd be some wetland flags there. I didn't want to trump the poison ivy today, so I didn't go looking for it. So, but I'd be hard pressed to find out that we wouldn't see some wetlands plantings in that area, just unless it's all eroded, because there is some pretty strong erosion in there. So those are things on the application I'd like to see. The drawings, I'd like to see the wetland adjacent to the site. And again, that's the same area, the depression that brings the drainage to the river from your site. I didn't know the wetland scientist was on the site, so I'd like to see that report with the wetlands flags. If indeed that is a wetland, we need to see the Watertown 50-foot no-build zone and how it impacts your site. Because if the wetland flags come up to the edge of your site, it will impact your site. The drainage drawing on C3, I'd like to see all the lines connect. These are just, it's all guesswork. There's a lot of manholes, a lot of lines, but none of them connect. And I like to see drawings. To me, it's which one goes where. And you get all these lines and they only go like 10 feet beyond the manhole. I want to see them connected. And these lines, the diagonal lines that come out, are they from rain leaders? I just have no clue what they are. They're not labeled. So the drainage drawing is really not quite up to par. With regard to the storm scepter, I didn't know that the item on the lower left corner as I'm looking at it goes into some controls, grid controls. It wasn't shown in the drawings. So I'd like to see all that stuff on a drawing. This is our chance to help the river, and we don't do it with this. We're not controlling any phosphorus that goes off of this site. So I was wondering if we could put a manhole in one of these last manholes, put something that would filter out phosphorus. It's our chance to do that. Also, there is a line that comes off of the Mass Gas and Electric site, which is no longer Mass Gas and Electric, and that goes somewhere. I don't like to know where that goes as well. So I just want to see a drainage drawing that's complete and shows where these lines go. And label the roof drains. It would be nice to see those.
Yep. All right.
The storm scepter, actually, I didn't know, I saw the storm scepter in the middle of the site. Didn't know we had one on the bottom. I was going to say, just move the one in the middle to the bottom of the site, and we'd have one storm scepter, maybe bigger, but it would, I don't know why I need two, but, and again, the phosphorus. So that's what my main goals was, phosphorus. The drainage system is not adequate, and I just need to see more. I'd like the idea of a rain garden in the corner if it would work. That may help some of the phosphorus. But I think, Richard, in your idea of having the staff do it at a later date may be fine, but I'd like to see it designed. So will be a stipulation in our order that it be done within a certain period of time.
Okay.
So if that's what you decide to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of my comments were storm drainage. I'd like to see the differences between the post-construction. You are improving the stormwater. You have a storm scepter in the line. You have another storm scepter in the bottom that I don't know when was added. I don't know if it's been maintained. Probably nobody checked it. I don't. It was paved over, so I don't know if you even checked it. So these things need to be done to make sure that we are improving the water quality going off of this site. So I think that's all I have. I like some of the comments of our rest of our commission made. And Laurel, do you have any more?
No, I did want to say that I believe a stormwater memo was given to the town as part of like an earlier process, but it wasn't like, so I was looking at that today, and Rich, I asked you, you know, is this updated or not? So it, you know, it seems like maybe the stormwater checklist notwithstanding, this information is at hand, and hopefully we can get those pieces of information, very quickly.
Well, it should be a complete package. So,
Leo, I just remembered one more thing.
Yep.
Those storm scepters, as well as the oil sediments separator, the oil grit separator,
yes.
those don't really work unless you maintain them regularly. Correct. So an operations and maintenance plan for stormwater structures is a must, because these things, basically those storm scepters get rendered useless often because I don't know. I have mixed feelings about them.
So that's why we need to know the one on the bottom side is actually working, the oil grit separator. Is it full? Is it empty? Is it clean? I don't think we see any records. And that just so everybody knows, that will be one of our stipulations, that we get a yearly report on those storm scepters. I think that's one of our standard order of conditions.
And the oil water separator, right. And because cleaning that out would be huge.
I guess I'm looking to see if we can improve the stormwater runoff, both for particulate matter as well as for phosphorus.
And I think the biggest thing we need to figure out is if it's a redevelopment, and I'm inclined to trust Maria if she says that in her experience this is a redevelopment, because I know she's got a lot of experience in this area. So, and if that's the case, then it needs to meet the stormwater standards to this extent practicable for the ones that, and then fully for the ones that redevelopments have to meet. So, really, we just need a complete notice of intent. Is that something we need to vote on, that we think it's a redevelopment, I don't know how.
I agree. No, we don't have to vote on that. I think it is a redevelopment.
Okay.
They totally gutted the site. It's not the same as it used to be, interior wise. So
I will say I'm not 100% certain it is.
Okay.
Just what I saw looks it, but I'd almost want to get clarification from the circuit rider person, or I don't know. It looks it to me, but if we're on the fence, maybe we should get further clarification if it meets the definition of redevelopment.
I'd like to have the opportunity in the follow-up to make the case, to look at the criteria for a redevelopment and evaluate those against the site and what's the activities that have been here, and give you something to review as to whether or not it's a redevelopment. And among the checklist, the more extensive or more the existing conditions plan, which shows you more of the wetland flags, as well as the wetland flag delineation records, the field report.
That's fine. Hugh, just make sure that it's not just what happens within the 200-foot riverfront. It's the project as a whole that triggers redevelopment.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So if there's any questions from anybody else listening?
I had my hand up, Leo.
I can't see that. Who's that, Elodia?
Yes, Leo, it's me.
Okay.
Jamie, I thank you for all the comments that you had about the back parking lot, because I was totally confused about how many cars were going to be parking there. I don't think we should leave these little areas for loam and seed to amateur hour. I think they should have to give a landscaping plan for those areas. It's too critical in town. As far as the path between Stop and Shop and this project, I think you should have a plan for that as well with wayfinding signs. We know in this town we have very little connection to the river, and it's quite important to the community that these are clearly laid out. And you not to be disagreeable about your front entrance and providing a public amenity there for your employees. You're going to be on Pleasant Street. And believe me, there's nothing attractive about sitting out on Pleasant Street with all the traffic going up and down. So I can't see what's going on with that, but there's a lot of traffic, a lot of, how do you say, fumes during the summer in the heat. And I know this is not part of this particular meeting, but I was really curious as to what's going on with the TMA, the Transportation Management Group in town, and how this project will fit into that, because I see so much parking here, and are they going to be part of that program? But I was blown away when Jamie started, because I kept looking this, and clearly I don't have the expertise that all of you have, but serious stuff. And that little snake thing at the top, the little black thing that looks like the head of a bird, an egret or something, is that going to be gone, or it was an old path that's being eliminated?
That is
Yes.
the path that is the path that was initially proposed.
Right.
But we decided to not do that in talking with the town, and keep the existing path and enhance the pathway between Pleasant Street and the existing path.
I love what you're doing there, Richard. So if you're taking out that little egret's neck there, why couldn't you just really landscape the back of the parking lot there and make it much more, just use that whole section there to landscape? Because now you've got this little odd dip configuration. You could round it out and landscape the whole area. I'm not trying to be rude, but people are so busy, weekends, you really think your employees are going to come in to create a garden? I really think these things need to be done. And I want to echo what Colleen said about having bee-friendly environments, native plants. Watertown needs to be greener. And I don't mean to put this on you. We should be putting this on every single developer in this town. We have so little green space in this town. Wherever it is, we should grab it and enhance it. And since you're starting from scratch here, it looks like to me, the untrained eye, I think we should take advantage of any opportunity to plant and do so in a really thoughtful way. Thank you for allowing me to make my comments at this meeting.
Thank you, Lodi. Anybody else with a hand up? Laura? Okay. So Hugh and Rich, do you have an idea what we want?
I've been taking some pretty good notes, so I think
Okay.
so. I think we can work with Laurel on fixing some of the drawings,
Yep.
providing a little more detail around the wetlands, around the drainage, and getting we'll take another look at the application, make sure all the boxes are checked and the square footages are filled in. I think those were the large critical items. If anybody wants to chime in on that.
Richard, Leo mentioned the drainage drawing several times.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I said that. Yeah, drainage drawing.
Leo, may I
Yes.
add one more comment? Richard, I don't know if you could put in some big belly trash receptacles, but you can.
Well, yeah, that's not in our jurisdiction.
Okay, but they're going to have to, if they're going to be part of the trash, it's easier. They know when it's full. Just a suggestion.
Yep. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right. So I guess if we're going to probably continue this hearing, and do you have an idea how long it's going to take you to pull all this stuff together? Our next meeting, I think, is the middle of August, just so a heads up.
Oh, yeah, that'll be plenty of time.
And I don't know exactly the date, items to do. Susan will help you get the dates, or Laura will help you date. Because usually
Yeah, we'll work that out.
Okay. So I guess if you're not, I don't have a problem with, would like to continue this hearing until our August meeting upon submission of all your other new material, updated material.
Okay.
And there'll be an amended order, I guess, as well. So, if I have a motion to continue this hearing until our August meeting, please.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing till our next, I don't know if we have a regularly scheduled August meeting, but so we'll have to.
Oh, you're right. It'll be early in September, I'm sorry, I think.
But, I mean, we might, so I don't know. But
I don't think we have a schedule though.
what's that?
Laurel?
This will be my first August with the town, but and Susan's shaking her head. My understanding
No.
is that we don't typically have August meetings.
Correct, it'll be September. Yeah, we usually have a usual meeting. This meeting has been moved back, so we have a spacing. So August is usually, we don't have a meeting. So it'll be September meeting, Richard.
Okay.
Is that okay? Obviously, you're still working, so I guess it's okay. So do I have a second of that motion?
Second.
All in favor? And we got to do a voice call. Colleen?
Aye.
Jamie?
Hi.
Maria?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
Leo? Patrick?
Aye.
And Leo is aye. So the motion carries. We're continued until our next scheduled meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you all very much.
Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can go on to our, thank you all for that. That was a very good meeting. Good comments. Thank you so much. Next would be the minutes. And I know that Patrick's had some comments and he sent them in to Laurel.
Yep, so we'll incorporate
I
those.
just had one comment on the one, okay, let's go month. March 4th meeting. Does anybody else have any comments on the March 4th meeting? Seeing none?
Nope.
So can I have a motion to accept? I know that Patrick sent some in. I think they're mostly editorial, if I recall correctly. Patrick?
Okay. I've lost the video and I'm trying to find it again.
Well, I see you. Don't worry. In your hearing, you're on site. You're there. Don't worry. You're there.
This is
So most of your comments were editorial.
unnerving. Yes, they're in track changes with you and Laurel.
Yep. Okay, so can I have a motion to accept the meeting as amended, minutes as amended?
So
Moved.
Second?
Second.
I don't know. Was that Colleen or Charlie?
I second.
Okay, you both said at the same time, so. All right, so a voice call. Susan?
You're muted, Susan.
I didn't catch who made the motion, please.
Maria made the motion. It was seconded by Colleen
Thank you.
and Charlie at the same time. So let's make a roll call for that. Maria?
yes, approved.
Colleen?
Yep.
Jamie?
Yes.
Patrick?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
Leo, aye. Very good, thank you. June meeting minutes. Any comments on the June meeting minutes?
Yes.
Maria, go ahead.
In the middle of page 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th paragraph down, beginning rows.
Yep.
I don't recall that I suggested that we not meet and discuss the 90% plans for Arsenal Park. I believe what I was saying was that if we needed to meet, I could send out a doodle poll. I think that's what I was getting at there. So I'd like to strike that whole sentence there. And what's that?
I said yes.
And then replace it with Rose noted, the commission does not usually meet in August. However, we could poll the commission members' availability and schedule one if needed. And I can send that to you if you want.
I agree with that. Yep.
Rose noted that the commission does not usually meet in August. However, we could poll the commission members' availability and schedule one if needed. And that was to do with the fact that Arsenal Park, and Gideon mentioned needing to go out to bid pretty quickly.
We have a tight schedule. Well, we haven't seen the 90%. I'm not sure, and I haven't talked to Gideon, so I might be off a little bit. But when I did talk to them, they hadn't got a contract extension to CDM Smith. Or Laurel, maybe is that, you had any idea on that one yet?
I'm not sure. Gideon
Okay.
did not. I haven't
So
heard
if
an
we need
update
a
from him
meeting,
either.
we'll worry about it as we get closer, and it might be okay on September, early September. We'll have to see what the schedule is for them, but we may have to have a meeting in August just to keep that moving. It'll be a short one, I think, but, and hopefully not a Zoom meeting, but hopefully. Any other comments? And I did give Laurel what I actually said prior to the meeting. It was a little different wording than presented here. And I think Patrick also gave some editorial comments as well. So do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes as amended?
So
That's so
moved.
moved.
Okay, Patrick, second?
I seconded.
Okay, Charlie made the motion and Patrick seconded it.
Sorry, I didn't get who made the motion.
Charlie made the motion,
Thank you.
Patrick seconded. I was gonna say all in favor. Jamie,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Maria,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
Patrick,
Aye.
and Leo, aye. So, hey, well, we're on a roll. So now we can go to the agent report. And I don't think there's too many items, but just to touch base on some of them so we can all have an idea what's going on in town. So, Jamie, you're on. I mean, Laurel, you're on. Jamie, you're on in a few minutes.
Yeah, almost. Sure. So let me just situate my notes and then my Zoom so I can still see you guys. So in terms of MVP, the planning grant phase was wrapped up at the end of June. So we have a bunch of deliverables from that that will be circulating on the town website and various social media platforms. I'm also happy to send out the sort of final summary of findings and a link to
Yeah,
the website that they created for us, just, to all of you, so you guys have
That'd be
it.
great. That'd be great.
Yep, and then the action grant application was also submitted at the end of June. We should hear back about mid-August about hopefully having won the grant. And then that process would kick off in September. As you might remember from our last meeting, I went into more detail about what we were proposing, but the application is essentially for a comprehensive climate and energy plan, which would be carried out through June, through basically summer of next year. So keep your fingers crossed for the next month or so before we hear about that.
And did you get help from the consultant with the preparation of that application?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So our consultants that helped us with the first phase then helped us with some of the more like number crunching. You have to submit a budget and all that fun stuff. So they helped with that. It's obviously in their interest because they will surely apply to be our consultant again to carry out that plan. But yeah.
Does anybody have any questions on the MVP program? Jamie, anything? No? Okay. Next.
Maria, do you have any updates from CPA?
Yes. I believe I sent you, I'm pretty sure, I sent you all an email right before we had a Zoom Q&A webinar on June 30th. You all got that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I took 2 days off and did not put the time in my calendar. I thought it was 7, so I missed it. Hopefully it was well attended. From what it sounded like, it was well attended. One thing we're trying to do is drive more traffic to the website, which I also sent in a link. It's just the www.watertowncpa.org, and I sent that in a link. Lene's asked, if it's possible, if we started a conversation, or on the open space area. Maybe I'll start it, and people can chime in to see if there's a particular subject that people are interested in. But basically, we're just trying to drive traffic to that website.
I have made comments on the open space site. I think
Oh,
Patrick
great.
may have as well.
And what?
Both Patrick and I have made comments on the open space portion of the website.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
And sorry, did you send that to everybody?
Yes.
Would you mind, do you remember what date? I didn't see that. I'd like to take a look.
Yeah, sure. I can resend it.
29th.
What was that?
It's the 29th.
29.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, Colleen, just so you know, it has places where you can fill in your comments on. You're actually looking for comments on what the goals are and things like that of the 4 different areas.
Okay.
And then you can add comments.
Perfect.
I think if you see what's on there, you can follow along and make your own.
Okay. Thank you.
And then the big thing is that we're trying to, work on the plan itself, and we're collating all of the information from the survey, or the consultant is Jen Goldson and her team are collating all the information from the survey. I think actually today is the very last day for the survey to be open. So if you haven't filled out the survey that's on that website, you could still go there. I think you all did. So basically we're trying to coalesce all the values and then have a plan perhaps by September so that we can start accepting applications sometime in the fall. But it's all still moving, and with the COVID-19, we're set back a little bit, but not too bad, because the consultant did shift and started doing more online things, and they created a video, and I sent that in that email link too. I can resend it after this meeting. I'll resend that email.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maria, will there be a forum in September?
No, the next big thing,
forum?
and Elodia, correct me if I'm wrong, will be a public, we'll have meetings regularly, but the next big thing to be aware of would be like a public hearing for the plan, for the draft community preservation plan, which we're hoping is for September.
Thank you, Maria.
So next, Jamie, if you have any sort of brief update about pollinator stuff. If not, that's fine too.
Nothing major to report.
Okay.
Pam did a really great talk on the Mount Auburn Cemetery over Pollinator Week, and there's a link that you can get to from the Mount Auburn site if you weren't able to tune in and want to listen. Otherwise, I think our plan is to start kind of compiling some more resources and information on things that the Friends of Bees have done, and so we can work toward maybe doing an annual report or starting to put the bones outline together for a pollinator plan.
Okay.
Jamie, just remember that Bob DeRico volunteered the area in the front of the DPW yard, between the 2 flagpoles. Right now, they're all Stelladoros, I believe. When I drove by, I think it's Stelladoros. But I think he volunteered that they could plant, we could widen that and plant different plants in there. But he needed a plan or some help, to know what to put in there. So if they
I'll bring
want
that up with Pam again. Do you know, I think she was a little nervous about making an official planting plan, but if she just gave him a list of species, would that work? Or
if you wanted to put a planting plan, that'd be fantastic. That would give the guys who did it an idea where to put things. But if it gives them a list of plants and maybe a little sketch, that'd be great. Whatever. But I just want to remind you that he did volunteer that area because it's also watered, so anything that's planted there will survive.
Okay, yeah, I'll revisit that. It came up last meeting, but yeah, I'll follow up and get back to you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Next one's yours, Laura.
Yeah. So DCR, through their consultant Hatch, informed me recently that they intend to start up on the next phase of improvements to Watertown Riverfront Park. So phase 2 is roughly from Irving Street east to where Charles River Road meets up with North Beacon Street. They did the first sort of westernmost section a few years ago, I understand. But the plan itself, as some of you might remember, is back from 2008. So in the intervening time between creating the plans in 2008 and now, additional areas have been suffering from erosion. So a lot of the plan has to do with managing some of the eroded bank areas and things like that in that park. So they've identified 12 additional erosion control spots that they will be addressing in phase 2 on top of the original 13 spots that were identified back in 2008 for this phase. So Leo will remember that he and Steve walked the site with DCR and their consultants about a year ago to look at the additional sites they were proposing, and sort of gave them the okay in terms of like, you know, this still fits within your purview of your order of conditions, and you know, this is obviously beneficial. They want to do more erosion control rather than less. So so I just wanted to give everyone
it's maintenance. Call it maintenance. It's
right, exactly. Yeah, it's maintenance. So just wanted to give everyone an update on that. I can forward the plan details if anyone is interested. They said that they plan to get a contractor on board this fall, and then work through the sort of fall months, and then into next year, and then probably will finish all of the final plantings by early spring of 2022.
okay. Anybody
So
have any
that's
questions
that.
on that? Steve and I did walk all those spots. We spent almost an afternoon with the DCR Hatch, the consultant, and all of them. And I thought the improvements were really going to really be nice when they finish them. I didn't think it was going to happen a year later, but it really was nice what they proposed to do, and I think it'll make that walkway much better.
So Leo or Laurel, is there a plan coming forward, or they've been given the blessing to go and address these?
They basically said this was within the maintenance issue that they already have. So the big items were were part of the plan that was a long time ago that they never did, and they still have a phase 3, which has to do with the pavement improvements to the roadway, like walkway lights, paving the sidewalks. That's phase 3 that they haven't even got to yet. But yeah, most of these were what they proposed, and the other stuff is just maintenance. Erosion of slopes that are really pretty badly eroding. They're going to try to fix those up. So it's part of the maintenance.
Sounds good.
Right.
Ongoing.
Yeah. So ongoing orders of conditions for Arsenal Park. Obviously, as we mentioned earlier, we'll keep track of the Phase B timeline and review things as needed, and keep in touch about those small sort of topic specific focus groups that are going to need to happen soon.
Yes.
There was also a pre-construction site visit that I was a part of last week. And it was with both the Arsenal Park team and Arsenal Yards, because they wanted to sort of coordinate site access and construction staging, because obviously construction is still ongoing at Arsenal Yards. So they all need to really work in concert to make the logistics go as smoothly as possible. They also discussed a little bit of more additional coordination along the boundary of the two properties in order to ensure that landscaping and pathways and grading all get done correctly and harmoniously between the two sites. So I'll continue to be involved in those conversations, and we'll keep you updated, but that's sort of what's going on with Arsenal Park.
Okay.
Arsenal Yards, obviously, again, like they were also involved in that, but they are continuing construction. They are starting I think they're planning to start fairly soon on one of the last buildings.
Building G.
That's sort of due east of the eastern edge of Arsenal Park. The developer recently provided some photos to us showing that the erosion control measures along sort of between the Home Depot and Little Greeno Boulevard are still sort of A-okay. Little Greeno is cut off to cars right now, so it's hard to kind of like drive by and see what it all looks like. But so
you go by and check every now and then, though, right?
Yes, I do. But they just for convenience sake, they provided some photos to us, so that was helpful. And then in terms of 330 Pleasant Street, a site meeting is actually scheduled for next week with myself, the developer team, the landscape team there, and DCR to confirm some of the landscape details along the edge between the site and DCR property, as well as some tree and vista pruning details. And the final steps of that work will be then carried out later this summer. This is sort of a follow-up to an initial site meeting that was held way back a million years ago in October to initially talk about, what trees are really important to keep, what are more like, just little saplings that you can kind of carve out to create, because there are 3 pathways, 3 pedestrian and there's one multi-use and then 2 other pedestrian paths from the site that link up to the DCR path. So last fall, Dan Driscoll and others, we all went on site to kind of talk about where those paths would make the most sense in terms of preserving the most important trees. And then DCR is obviously very interested in any kind of like vista pruning or invasives control that the developer, wants to do for him in that area. So, sort of a continuing conversation, but just to be aware that that final sort of site visit will happen next week, and then you'll start seeing the creation of those connecting pathways soon.
So they must be close to the landscaping phase?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Hey, I have a question for Laurel on the Arsenal Park project. So who won the bid for the Phase A?
I forget. I did watch the town council meeting when they announced it.
I just assumed Laurel met with them. She said she had a pre-construction.
Well, it was a lot of
People.
older gentlemen with masks, and there wasn't a lot of like schmoozing happening because we were all trying to keep our distance and stuff. So off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But the bid came in a little bit
but
higher.
I can let you know.
The bid came in a little bit higher than the proposed cost from CDM, but not by a lot.
Okay.
So the town council voted to go forward with everything, including the gazebo. The gazebo came in at $90,000. So they accepted that. The town council voted on it. So it was exactly as you saw it. That's what they voted on.
And I presume, I like to ask about the contractor because in procurement with us, with the being municipalities, you have to go with the lowest bidder and lowest qualified bidder. And so sometimes you don't know who you're going to get. So
I think it begins with he was the same contractor did the improvements to Filipello Park. Hemlock, something like that.
Okay, that's fine.
But it was the same. We have a track record with him. He's done work in Watertown. I think they were pretty happy with what he did over at Filipello. So
I can picture him.
Again. Huh?
I can picture him now from the site visit, and I
Hemlock, something like that.
No worries. No worries. Sorry, I asked. No worries.
No, I should have remembered it because I listened to the council meeting when that night they awarded it. So I guess if that's all we have and there's no more questions. Colleen has a question.
Yeah, I don't know if this is it or should I send an email after, but I did just see in the news that the Mount Auburn Club is closing and they're going to redevelop it as a lab.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That
what
is
We'll
in
be busy with that.
that is in our jurisdiction because it's within the 200-foot waterfront of Sawin Stream.
Okay. And so what is behind that? I've driven by it. I don't know. That's obviously close to the river, but there's something else in between that facility and the road. What is that?
It's the former GSA site, which is now a constructed wetland.
Right, and we talked about that, I think, like 2 meetings ago.
Owned by
That was what was
DCR.
discussed. Okay, cool.
And we would love to open it up for public access, but it's not on DCR's,
Next couple of
Priority
years.
list.
top 10 priority list yet. But
Okay.
yeah, so that'll be interesting coming our way. So
Yeah, so that abuts that. So the stream goes right down to the GSA, and this is right adjacent to it. So we will have our input on that one.
Okay, cool. Great.
Wow, that's fascinating that they already know. Like I just heard that about that 46-year run for Mount Auburn Club closing.
Yeah.
And they already have a reuse of it. So this must have been in the works for a while.
Well,
I think so.
developers of biomedical company. They already done. It's the same people that own Arsenal Yards. The old Arsenal, but they bought Athena Health's property. They're one of the partners.
Okay.
Of
But
the
do you
developers.
think it's because of the coronavirus, the COVID and closures that?
I think there's just a demand for these biomedical facilities. We're getting far afield here, but the property right on coming down Galen Street where the car dealership was, that is proposed to be a biomedical firm as well.
Wow.
So I think it's still hot, and it's got probably even hotter for the next few years.
Okay. Well, that's good for taxes.
And the other thing, I think it was in Charlie's Bright Rose's column today, is that they're actually looking at the Tufts. Is it Tufts or Tufts Medical over on Mount Auburn Street?
Yeah.
They're leaving there, and that's also being considered as a biomed spot as well, I believe. Laurel's shaking her head, yes.
Wow.
Oh, I just knew that Tufts Medical was
Yeah.
leaving.
And I think I saw the word biomed in there for there too. So it's really a hot item. Great for our tax base, because right now Tufts Medical is we don't get any taxes from that site.
Yeah.
One
great.
final question, also a little off topic. Is there any update on new members? When I was looking through the minutes, I read that back in March or something, we were getting close, right?
Well,
So I think that the pandemic kind of got in the way because I don't know whether I don't think that those interviews.
So I
taken
can
place.
help you here. The interview,
Okay.
the town manager has approved Charlie, myself, Patrick, I forget who's up for renomination, and the new person. But the DPW subcommittee haven't met. And we're under the DPW subcommittee. So we have to interview with the subcommittee. They have to make the recommendation back to the council for approval, and then they can be sworn in and join us. So
Do we have any information on what the person is bringing, or we'll just have to wait and see?
Well, I know that some committees have met outside and back of the police station, but I don't know if the DPW subcommittee has met. And we're still limited to one public hearing a night or something like that. It's crazy. So hopefully soon, and I just hopefully she doesn't get upset or he doesn't get upset that they haven't been coming or approved yet. They understand the fact that they just haven't met.
I'm sure they'll understand. It's kind of unprecedented time.
That it is.
Great question, Jamie. And I'll just follow up with that. If we do know this person, it would be wonderful if someone from the town, maybe Laurel, you could do this, or Susan, and just say, just to touch base with that person, just to have some contact and invite them to our next Zoom meeting. I'll
do that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Just as like a listener.
A good idea.
Thank you, Marie. That's a good idea. So if there's no more questions, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. So moved.
Who said
Second.
that? Jamie? Second? Who was the second?
Maria.
Maria. Roll call. Jamie?
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Maria,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
Patrick,
Hey,
Leo, aye. Thank you all. Good
Thank you.
comments
Thank
tonight.
you
Nice
very
job.
thanks
much.
for you.
Have a great
Good
evening.
job.
Good to
Thank
see
you so
you.
much.
Good
Have a-
night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.